Hi, I'm Martin Frick, CEO at Moneythor, and welcome to the Deep Banking Podcast. Welcome back to our Deep Banking series of the Moneythor podcast. I think we are at episode number 6 now. We started out in Southeast Asia. We detoured to the Middle East. We went to New Zealand, back to the Middle East again, and now we are full circle back to Southeast Asia. I'm very happy to have Francis Chiu with me on the podcast today. Francis is the head of consumer banking apps at BDO in the Philippines. But we will not talk about BDO so much today. We talk about general trends in Southeast Asia that Francis is seeing in his role. But before we start out, maybe Francis, you want to introduce yourself to the audience a bit.
Sure thing. Hi to everybody. As Martin said earlier, this is Francis Chiu. Currently working for BDO Unibank as head for consumer banking applications, spending over 25 years in banking technology, mostly building systems that shape how customers experience new ways of trust, convenience, and personalization every day. And currently, my focus has always been, connecting technology with customer empathy, making sure every digital interaction feels more human, relevant, and rewarding. And that's why I'm particularly excited about today's discussion on the banking because I truly believe future in banking it lies not just in speed of automation, but also how deep the understanding of our customers would be.
That's fantastic. So happy to have you on this podcast. So maybe to start us off a little bit, I think this whole digital experience went through a lot of changes over time, and you have been in the industry for a long time. I remember back in the COVID times, there was this huge rush in the Philippines from the branches to the digital channels, and lots of banks struggled with this new demand. So this for sure has triggered a lot of change how banks approach digital channels and solutions. Can you maybe explain to us a little bit what are the big changes you have seen in Southeast Asia and in the Philippines?
Specifically to the Philippines, Martin, it was a massive change. There were some banks who were a little bit more prepared, whereas others had to deal with kind of like a phygital approach, more physical and digital combined. The preparedness was not just how we engage with our customers through various channels. It was also how stable our systems were, because to a certain extent, those who have converted to digital much earlier never saw the amount of transactions that they saw during the first few months of COVID. And therefore, thinking about both digitalization and resiliency had to be done hand in hand. So, for banks like ours, which is the largest bank in the Philippines, having the most number of customers, we acknowledge that there might be further need to go digital, but also how do we enable the physical touch with a more, let's just say, safe perspective. So we still kept majority of our branches open, but giving the customers a more digital feel in spite of them being in the branches. So that flexibility and resiliency, not just in systems, but also customer touch points, really helped a lot. Organizations of our size and also the other organizations. And I can see that or have seen that within the region as well. There was a lot of creativity, a lot of innovation. And I think it was also the best time to test new ways of engaging our customers through different channels and different mediums.
Now, COVID is one of these things that none of us can know about or influence. It's kind of these wild black swan events, but there are other trends, maybe especially in the Philippines. I imagine having such a young population, that the young population wants to bank differently than people like myself of my generation want to bank. So what are these major trends you see that are driven by your very young mobile affine population in the Philippines?
Well, that's very timely right now, Martin, because obviously a lot of the I'd call them the Gen Z and even Gen Alpha have always grown up only knowing digital. So to them, that touch point in any organization, most especially for financial institutions, is really through digital. And adjusting in that manner from the customer experience, from the onboarding or leads perspective, all the way through how to manage their accounts, how to engage with the institution and all that stuff. That's really through digital means. And for banking institutions like ourselves, we want to make sure that we cater to that particular market or that particular segment. And even more so, we have to further segmentize with amongst Gen Zs and Gen Alpha. Where are they in the uh, economic bracket? Are they more affluent? Are they more sort of middle class? Or even more so, those who are in the MSME sector? How would they want to engage? Because right now, I'm sure you've seen a lot of these digital influencers in social media. You know, they also bank. So I think that segmentation really helped a lot because you establish various personas and how to engage with the institution. And that had to be coupled along with, I don't want to call you the same age as my mother, but that's basically the various segments that we also had to cover. It had to be a balance between digital but also physical touch, such that those people who are a little bit more mature in their banking still feel that the experience of personal face-to-face contact is still there, but supplemented or improved further by the digital footprint.
You were actually mentioning a very interesting phenomenon, these influencers. Uh, are you also working with influencers as a bank?
I think generally the influencer market or that group of people who provide a different mindset or a different perspective to any service for that matter would be an integral part of how we expand our audience. And not just us, a lot of the banking institutions here in the country have had opportunities to work with different kinds of influencers for that matter. You'd have celebrities, you'd have like social media personalities, some vloggers in the various video platforms, because these are different touch points to the customer. Each influencer is a different market altogether. So you'd have perhaps a travel vlogger who would have audience members who are more into traveling, and therefore they'd be more focused in, say, payment applications that can be used outside of the Philippines. So there are also influencers who are more on the lifestyle or fashions space. And obviously, they would be more focused on maybe, say, credit card products or different loyalty and rewards programs. So I think definitely not just us, but all financial institutions in the country have had this experience in the last few years.
Okay, that's very interesting to hear. Now, I assume BDO being a very traditional and also very successful bank, I guess driving change in the organization is maybe not always as easy as it is in a digital startup. So my question is not so much about how you drive this change in BDO, but when you think about the loyalty of the clients, do the young generation stay loyal to BDO? Are they satisfied enough with a traditional bank changing, or do you see a big move to the new startups like Gcash or others?
I do see personally, I do see a mild shift. Obviously, from a payments perspective, I think we can't you know uh, use that as a use case because it's quite ubiquitous for anybody who to open a payment system or a payment application. But how do we supplement that? How do we make sure that we are not, in a sense, left behind with all of these new innovations? And it's not just the payment space; it's also maybe new ways of investing or new wealth management platforms that are available now to more people, new ways of trading. So it's making sure that while maybe we don't necessarily compete directly, we make sure that we supplement or we engage because being the largest bank in the country um, makes us an organization that's looked up to, and making sure that we also engage openly to those who maybe would like to partner or would like to make sure that uh, we are always there. Our footprint is always there. We are ubiquitous. Uh, and we actually get a lot of feedback or information from not just our customers, but even those who maybe use our solutions from time to time, but then view that, oh, a traditional bank is continuously innovating. And I think that's a good sign because they do not see us just as a traditional bank. We are a bank for, I can say, for all ages and for all eras.
I think also being traditional is not only bad, it sounds maybe bad, but it also comes with a lot of trust. And I think that's difficult to earn as a new provider. So I think traditional doesn't need to be a downgrading term really. So I personally like traditional banks. But you mentioned payments before. Now payments from a bank's perspective are a good thing and a bad thing. I think the bad thing is you only lose money on payments. No one can really make money on payments except he charges outrageous FX rates, but otherwise it's difficult. But the good side is I think it gives you a lot of data. Now you can use this data or not use it, but now you mentioned personalization before. Do you see ways how bank can better use the data they already have to be more personal in the engagement with their clients?
I think that will always be a an area where any organization, for that matter, would definitely want to leverage on. If transactions of individual clients, for example, help them understand their customers better, whether it's through payments, whether it's through investments, or maybe even, purchasing insurance because they travel a lot, or purchasing insurance for their pets. And of course, the kinds of products that they normally either invest in or put their money in. That provides a better understanding of a specific type of customer. And in the advent of more and more bespoke or hyper personalization, that's very relevant because it gives you a clearer view of who are backing with you. It also provides you context around who are you not perhaps tapping sufficiently, and therefore maybe certain nuances of the products that you offer and the channels that you offer them can provide you better information of how to access those customers that maybe not bank with you yet. Additionally, I'd also say that there are certain products that are not yet fully available or are accessed within the country that I believe can help sort of the gap that uh, is evident through our unbanked population.
What kind of products are you thinking of when you're saying that?
Top of mind, actually, I've always been a huge, I would say maybe an advocate to Islamic finance and Islamic banking. As you know, within Southeast Asia, majority of Indonesia, Malaysia, obviously have Islamic banking. The Philippines, having a fairly considerable, population of Muslims, would maybe take benefit in ensuring that they do their banking in a Sharia compliant kind of way. So that's I think is a very interesting space to maybe just look at more and see how we can provide sustainability and inclusivity in banking.
Okay. Now I have to bring up the one thing everyone brings up in any podcast you're listening to AI, you know. So how does AI support or detract you in all of that?
First off, we need to look at foundational because I take care of delivering new applications, delivering different capabilities, and so on. We want to make sure that we maximize on any potential AI capability that can help deliver better applications. And because majority, if not all of the banking organizations in the country want to make sure that we are also ahead of the curve when we provide these capabilities and services to our customers. And AI is a definite tool that allows for more information, more data to get processed and churn out more significant uh, inference or more significant solutions that can definitely improve what we talked about earlier, hyper personalization, for example. But going back to the foundational bit from a delivery standpoint, it helps my team do their work much better. At least it starts from there. And then, of course, when we elevate the conversation to what kinds of services and capabilities are we able to now provide our businesses. So back in the day, I remember, you had to go through a lot of data points, maybe using Excel or maybe using some other tool, a data warehousing tool, and have to churn out all of these queries and do all of that. Obviously, gets simplified and automated, and that gives more context, more holistic viewpoints that definitely help maybe a new campaign or a new product or further improving an existing product. Um, say, better credit or risk management scoring, and so on and so forth. So it really augments and supplements higher quality feedback or churn out new or better information.
I see a lot of people I'm talking to using AI internally first. Look at ourselves. We developed internal AI to replace cumbersome search mechanisms. We're using AI to generate code, etc. Now looking at banks, yes, you use it a lot internally. We have also a few clients that are starting to experiment with conversational banking interfaces, which are actually pretty powerful.
Yeah.
I'm personally a bit skeptic because for me it's hard to imagine that the regulator will be happy if he cannot really control what's happening in the interface with the client. So what is your view on this conversational AI?
Well, definitely, it's a capability or a solution that is worth exploring even more. So just to maybe give a more personal touch to the conversation. So I use an AI platform sometimes obviously to ask questions, to figure things out, etc. But I also realize that if I can talk to an AI platform and it gives me back a more contextual result, maybe even verbal result, it is akin or very similar to a human being. So one time, Martin, I actually asked it, "Can you tell me more about myself?" Because I've been talking to this AI bot for like the longest time, right? So I would assume it's learned more about me. And it came back with sort of like some person telling me how they think about me, etc. And I felt that they were very close to, who I thought I was, the kind of person that I am. And that gave me this sense that I think we are in the right direction at the very least with all of these LLMs or large language models and how they process the information that they give out. And of course, there will always be some areas for improvement, hallucinations, and all that stuff. But generally speaking, that's always how human beings have been. We make mistakes, we do better, and we move forward. So I think in the same vein, if what we created, which is AI, does the same, at some point it will be beneficial to us. And more than that, it also elevates the level of intelligent conversations that we continuously have. And yeah, there's no better way to move forward in this particular case. We will always just move higher and higher.
Okay. Well, interesting. So I'm not sure whether I want to ask the AI what they think about me. Usually my wife tells me that's how I am, so I don't need AI as well to tell me. But let's park this for a second. Uh, so we were talking about data. We were talking about clients. We were talking about how you can better personalize your offerings with this data. Now, we have also touched a little bit on loyalty, and so how loyal do you think your clients are, and what do you do to make them even more loyal to your brand?
As a brand, one of the key benefits that I'd say an organization like us has is the fact that we are very present from a physical perspective and a digital perspective. So that helps because you're always top of mind. You are always thought of. You are always seen. And loyalty helps or it helps loyalty because when you see something more often, whether you like it or not, it will always be in your head. And therefore, you always think about it first when you think about banking, finance, etc. So it also helps that we are part of a bigger conglomerate that definitely is also ubiquitous. And we are part of a bigger ecosystem because of that conglomerate. And therefore, loyalty is there. Now, how do we further improve that loyalty? Definitely continuously making sure that we see the customer first. We look at what they need. We look at how we can continuously serve them better. Definitely, you build organic loyalty. And I think that's most important. The rewards bit is more of a carrot from time to time because I think rewards are also provided across the spectrum. Different organizations provide different rewards, etc. And sometimes it begs the question, are you really or will you really be loyal because of the reward? it helps. It helps increase the consistency of the loyalty. It's kind of like you being in marriage or dating. From time to time, you get to eat in a fancy restaurant. But what keeps you in that relationship is really the consistent engagement, the open and honest conversations, and how you see each other as a partner. So again, the rewards are mere milestones and so on. That just makes the things make the relationship a little bit more interesting.
I think I agree with you. Rewards are becoming more and more of a commodity because anyone has rewards. I think without rewards, just it's difficult. Whether you go to a hotel, you book a flight, you bank, you expect kind of rewards. Uh, doesn't make it very targeted or personalized very often, but you expect it. But how can you take this to the next level to make it more interesting and to really play a role in loyalty? Because we, for example, in the Middle East, we see a lot of gamification going on, which seems to resonate, especially with younger population. And finally, what we found out is that also the older generation, 60 and above, likes a good game. How do you see that then in the Philippines? Do you see this evolving?
Well, first off, I actually do see this on a regular basis. A lot of the more neo banks or more payment centric applications or solutions or companies do employ these strategies. And I believe it helps because when it attracts customers and when their acquisition costs are, kept at bay, it doesn't increase their acquisition costs so drastically, then I would think that it definitely works. So um, what I've been seeing is they attract the right customer because the right customer is attracted by what they're offering. So it's literally aligned. So a good example would be, how can I increase my interest rate if I bank with your company? So there would be gamified milestones or actions or tasks that a customer would have to do. And by doing so, obviously the company increases their footprint in the context of that customer, but the customer also gets what they maybe desire more, which is better return on their deposits. So things like that, I think they're very pragmatic. They hit the customer where the customer wants to be attracted or where they want to be impacted. But it also addresses maybe the bottom line of the fintech company that provides that particular solution.
What are you doing in BDO in the rewards and loyalty space?
It's a very vast space for us. Obviously, from a banking perspective, there are various rewards that we provide. We actually do have a pretty expansive or exhaustive rewards program from a bank standpoint. The more visible ones are really on the cards space. Um, there are deals, for example, where we provide people discounts, to maybe a restaurant or a hotel accommodation or when they travel. And it's also fairly seasonal, which is good. In fact, I believe this is in partnership with a lot of our merchant partners. And the good thing about that is we give the merchants what they would appreciate, which is more traction from a customer base perspective. And then from our standpoint, it gives our customers a better engagement because they interact with our merchants when they need to. And normally, for me, I have to admit, I've also used some of these rewards. For example, if I have to treat my mom, she's gonna have her birthday in the next couple of weeks, for sure we'll probably eat somewhere that is aligned to one of those deals that we have. And then from a travel standpoint, again, more miles when you book a ticket with a specific airline, and of course with the hotel partners that we have. So it really helps the at least the sentiment or the feeling of these customers because they know that on a regular basis they're being taken care of and they experience something new. So
Okay. So what is your vision for how do we interact in future over digital channels? We went from branches to mobile banking. So what's next? What's your vision on this?
I think for us in the Philippines, it will always be a balanced approach. The Philippines, Merton, is a pretty community based country or culture. We like the um, familiarity. So that's one of the reasons, for example, that in spite of digital transformation, digitization of a lot of these kinds of services, there's still quite a lot of branch-based servicing. So, for example, for our organization, we have maybe the largest uh, branch network in the country. I don't even know if Starbucks has the same number of branches that we do. So that says a lot because people still do like to go to the branches. They like to engage with our branch personnel. They like to engage with people they know. But we need to balance that with a channel, in this case, digital. So what do I see? Vision wise, I see that just expanding even more. Maybe smaller kiosks for branch banking, more availability of services and products through the digital channels. And then I feel that embedded finance or embedded open banking would be more and more ubiquitous because that allows for reaching the customer where they are at that very moment. So working very closely with e-commerce consolidators or platforms, going, providing insurance capabilities to when you actually book a trip, um, and all the other fun stuff. Like I have 5 dogs. Like every time I shop for their dog food in a specific thing, it would be nice if I got prompted, hey, you know what, you wanna get an insurance for your dog because it seems like they're already of a certain age. I mean, things like that, I think it helps the customer because they know they're always looked after. And supplement that with what you shared earlier about traditional banks always having that level of trust that the customers have had through the years, through the decades. I think it's one of the best possible outcomes that anyone could get.
Okay, you said in the Philippines a lot of your consumers they still like a human touch point, so they go to the branches. Now I'm wondering whether they want to go to the branches or whether they have to, because I haven't been in the Philippines for a while, but it was always very paper based to do banking. So is there also a kind of a little bit of an aspect of they have to go there, or if you take this all away, would they still go there? Is the big question I'm asking.
Well, for us at least, we've experienced that there's fair balance. And now we've also provided more digital capabilities in our branches that gives a better customer experience, faster queuing times, more engaging personnel. And obviously, we want to make sure that uh, the touch point is something that people don't feel is high friction. So making sure that we provide as many services, as many products as we possibly can. Sometimes we want to make sure also that those moments where a customer would like to elevate certain concerns, certain challenges, they can literally talk to someone face to face. And maybe that's something of a choice for our some of our customers. And I see this not just with a specific generation, it actually cuts across multi generations. So uh, while you're right that some processes or flows are probably done because they have to do it in branch or physically, that's something that's going, maybe I'd say, slimmer and slimmer through the years. And of course, making sure that we provide more digital options to our customers will always be there. I think majority of customers that I've seen like going to the branch because they know who they're talking to. And to a certain extent, it feels more like a chore that they're welcome to doing. So it's part of their daily programming, if I may. So it's like, you go to the baker or you go to the butcher, you go to the supermarket, you go to a branch. So it's part of their lifestyle, and it's transitioned onto not just being a requirement, but more of as a lifestyle.
I see. Now we covered a lot of ground over the last 30 minutes, and I asked you a lot of questions. So, is there anything I didn't ask you want to share with the audience?
Well, maybe I'd say when we talk about deeply human, and how do we talk about that in the context of technology, talking about that in the context of banking, especially AI right now, I think a lot of people are both excited, anxious, maybe scared of what the future holds for a lot of us. I think we just need to be more open. we need to be more critical, and also we should check out what is available and what could be available. Sometimes these open conversations from customers to anybody from the finance industry is going to help them as well. So in my case, when I get opportunities to have conversations with people like yourself, I am inspired to really talk more or listen more about what are the new trends, how do organizations like yourself see what is available, what's out in the market, because obviously you do it on a regular basis, making sure the you're looking out for what new things are going to happen. But we need to also be open. And maybe the last piece is how it's amazing for a country like ours to be, for an organization or institution like ours as well, to be working very closely to regulators, because sometimes people think that that's stifling or that's restricting, but actually it's the most emboldening, it's the most encouraging um, relationship to have, because if it's an open and honest relationship, you are only there to continuously improve through the right guardrails. And I think that's also going to benefit the customer, because you're providing them the level of service that is above board, and you're also providing them the right kind of innovation. So that's probably some of the things that I would probably look to as well in the next few years.
Okay, I think there is nothing more to add. So I thank you a lot, Francis, for this excellent conversation. You are for sure very passionate and very knowledgeable about your topic, and I'm very confident that BDO consumer banking will get great depth going forward. Thanks a lot for being on the podcast. It was great to have you here.
Thanks so much, Martin. Great to have guested.